Here's a little bit messy, but we'll figure it out. All right, and welcome back to the unnamed comic book show here for Blurred Out Radio and Nerfic Strangers. I'm your host Kenny, and today we are talking about one of my favorite comic books, graphic novels, whatever you want to call it, Animal Man, volumes 1, 2, and 3. They're basically 27 issues of Grant Morrison's really historic run. First off, Grant Morrison is the writer, art by a bevy of folks: Chaz Truog, Doug Hazelwood, Tom Grummett, Steve Montana, Mark McKenna, Mark Farmer, and Paris Collins. While the inside of this book is amazing, it's the covers that are done by Brian Bolland that really kind of just draw you into these comics. I mean, every cover, and thankfully the trades actually keep those covers intact for each issue. So you see Brian Bolden's just really cool artwork that just kind of leads you into the Animal Man series. Grant Morrison's Animal Man is a timeless piece of work, in my opinion. It's a comic that really subverts that '80s genre that was very much dark, gritty, really devoid of hope, really violent. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of my favorite stories kind of come from that era in terms of like the Frank Miller stuff we get, anything Alan Moore wrote. The list kind of goes on. I mean, Chuck Dixon. We get a lot of really interesting stories, but they all kind of come to one theme, and it's really centered around this idea of hopelessness. And what we get here with Grant Morrison's Animal Man is basically a realignment of the character for Buddy Baker, as we find him not just as a hero, but as an animal rights activist. So he's in his 30s, he's trying to figure out what he wants to do in life, and he realizes that, it's time for Buddy Baker to be a full-time superhero. We also, as opposed to many of the other heroes we see through any comic book, hi bud. Here's, I guess you can call me Animal Man myself because the cat just kind of came through. But since we're on the idea of Animal Man, basically Buddy Baker it has his powers, and he's part-time in it. Well, not even part-time in it. He was barely doing it as a superhero, but now he wants to fully join the Justice League, become a hero, and he does that. But what ensues throughout the next 3 volumes is Buddy Baker essentially finding himself and finding some interesting villains and teaming up with some pretty cool heroes you probably only really see on like Justice League Unlimited, which shout out to B'wana Beast and Vixen and Martian Manhunter, who all all show up in random issues. There's a clear plot that Grant Morrison's going through that I don't want to give away, because the really cool part of the story is that each issue of Grant Morrison's run, yes sir, he also wants you to pay attention to the sub-stories and the subplots in the background, because small characters become major characters and you don't realize it. So there's a lot going on, and at times the story can get a bit preachy because Animal Man is a vegetarian, and that becomes a whole thing. And it kind of aligns with its writer, Grant Morrison, who he himself is a vegetarian. I'm not sure if he's still a member of PETA and all that, but all these things of activism in the 80s and environmentalism become key issues to Animal Man and to that time in the 80s. And honestly, here in 2020, some of the issues that Grant Morrison speaks on, and those issues kind of still speak to what's going on in our society today. So you really get a sense that Grant Morrison really had his own idea for the character Buddy Baker, and it's tremendous. The MVP though of the story of the entire run is Mirror Master, who essentially at the beginning of the story was set to assassinate Buddy and his family, because I think I'm not sure, the cat interrupted me when I was getting to the point that Buddy Baker has a family. And so not only do we see Buddy Baker, the superhero, this is also about Buddy Baker, the father, the husband, trying to do his best to kind of balance that home life and that hero life. And you see that they clash early and often with some dark results, but also some beautiful moments as well. So, Mirror Master comes into the story with Buddy, and it becomes this whole ridiculous thing where Mirror Master just kind of completely shit talks Buddy Baker through different points of the story, and also ends up helping Buddy at one of the pinnacles, the big parts of the story, the climax, as one would say. I really enjoy the story. There's nothing more I can say about it. The best issue is A New Science of Life, and this is basically where Buddy takes a handful of peyote, and the art becomes just this next level thing of colors and shapes and stars. And next thing you know, the fourth wall is completely broken, and Buddy Baker looks at you, the reader, and has this whole epiphany that he's just a character in the story, which leads us to like this even bigger, just kind of scope of breaking the fourth wall that even Deadpool will be a little bit jealous of, where Animal Man meets his writer, and they have this whole just existential conversation, and it all comes back to the Coyote Gospel, which is my second favorite issue in this book, where you kind of see how a coyote and a man are hunting. Well, one's hunting one. I won't tell you who is hunting whom, but it becomes this thing of sacrificing one's life for the greater good, and just the idea of grieving and loss. There's so many different elements that Grant Morrison has at play throughout the entire 27 issues of Animal Man, that it becomes just this great vehicle, timeless comic, where in the midst of all things going on around you, it's one of my favorite books to just pull out when I'm feeling kind of lost, and I just need something just to kind of like reconfirm that, things around me are crazy, but they're not as crazy as they could be, and there's always hope. There's always a light there, even when we don't truly feel it. So check out Animal Man volumes 1, 2, and 3. There's actually a newer edition out as well that I think is hardcover, and I should know this. I work at First Day Comics, where you can actually pick this up. I definitely know we have a hardcover because I have one in the box for myself. So if you want to check out Iron Man, I've been playing an Avengers video game, and I'm currently playing as Iron Man. So Iron Man's been in my mind because I want to max out some of his skills, and I want some of his armors. So Iron Man has been in my mind most of this morning. But not Iron Man, Animal Man's volumes 1, 2, and 3 by Grant Morrison. Pick it up. One of my favorite books of all time. Take it easy. You all have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Put on a mask. Put it over your nose, please. And have a good one. I love you. Kenny out, Blurred Radio, and Nerd for Strangers. Peace.